You're fired! What better way to end the Matt Nagy era than with a celebratory cigar? Matt Nagy has officially been fired!
This is a work of art. This is bullshit. This is a work of art. This is bullshit. This is a work of art. But this is bullshit.
It is a long time coming. I've been wanting this for the past 2 years. And to finally see the day that the Bears finally make the move and finally rid themselves of that offensive genius, that offensive guru, Matt Nagy, after the Bears finished 6-11 in third place in the NFC North with another long losing streak. That's the third one in his tenure. I got it. Matt Nagy is a Bear coach no more. And who's happier than me? Somebody who's been wanting this for 2 years now. 2 years, but I'm going to get in depth into Matt Nagy's entire tenure a little bit later, but let me have my moment. Matt Nagy is no longer the head coach of the Chicago Bears. And what could be a better day than now? But, hey, here's my thoughts on Matt Nagy. So, without further ado, let's dive into it.
Oh my God! Wow!
I'm striving to get rich. That's why I always wait 2 years without buying shoes and fits. Things change now. My mom hearing me with my music and she look a little proud.
So, the Matt Nagy era has officially come to an end. There's been rumors the last couple of weeks. There's been rumors for a good part of this season. And those rumors are put to bed because we have the official news. We have the official word that Matt Nagy has been fired. His tenure outside of 2018 has been a failure. It's been a failure. And even at some points in 2018 with this Bears offense, it was a failure. I think you can go back to all the way into week 14 in that Sunday night contest where the Bears dominated the Rams 15-6. But when you look back at that contest, the offense struggled heavily. And I think the struggles of this offense went good from here, and then it just was a decline ever since. It was a decline because this Bears offense under Matt Nagy failed to finish above 20th. 2019 they didn't, 2020 they didn't, and this year they didn't. And he was supposed to be brought in to fix the offense and fix the quarterback position. And I think for me, after 2018 is when things went downhill. Now, we all know he won Coach of the Year in 2018. The Bears went 12-4. They made the playoffs, won the NFC North, and we all know the double doink happened. But things were looking up for this Bears unit from there, and it did not live up to anything in the years prior. 2019, they went on a 4-game losing streak. 2020, it was a 6-game losing streak, and this season, it was another 5-game losing streak.
So much pain! So much pain!
There's been a lot of changes with this Bears offense, whether it's Mark Helfrich as the offensive coordinator, whether we had Bill Lazor as the offensive coordinator, whether it was Mr. Trubisky at quarterback, Chase Daniel at times, whether it was Nick Foles they brought in last year to help fix the quarterback position. This year it was Foles, Dalton, and the drafting of Justin Fields, and this offense still managed to do nothing. Watching this Bears offense in the last 2 years in particular, you can even go back to 2019, this Bears offense has a good amount of points where they were reluctant to run the football. Now this year they ran the football more than they did in the 2 years prior, but it is games. You can go back to the Indianapolis Colts game last year. You can go back to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers game last year, which they eventually won. You can go back to the Cleveland game. This year's Cleveland game. This offense has been a colossal failure. I've said previous times on this channel, if the Bears' plan was to draft a quarterback this coming season, Matt Nagy needed to be gone, because he was originally brought in to help develop Trubisky, to help Trubisky take his game to the next level. Of course, a lot of Bear fans, I saw it throughout the last couple of years, they were going to say Mitchell Trubisky was bad. He needed to go. He wasn't the greatest quarterback. Some of those points I kind of agree with, that he wasn't the greatest quarterback, of course. But watching the totality of this Bears offense, not just last year, but in 2019, Matt Nagy failed to scheme around their players' ability. Now, Mitchell Trubisky is not the greatest pocket passer, and Matt Nagy tried to make him into a pocket passer, which is what he was not. And it would have been fine, because I always compare Mitchell Trubisky to a guy like Jake Plummer, a guy that you can roll out, you can bootleg, and he's better successfully that way because Mitch was athletic. Matt Nagy forced him in the pocket, and it was a colossal failure from there, because you have to coach towards your players' strengths. You cannot have a 5-man protection when your offensive line is struggling. The Cleveland game this year proved that point. You had a lot of people's eyes open when Justin Fields made his first career start and he got sacked 9 times. 9. With a Defensive Player of the Year candidate in Myles Garrett getting 5.5 sacks, because you stick him with Jason Peters, a 40-year-old offensive lineman. You don't chip. You do not call things to help slow down the pass rush. You sit Justin Fields in the pocket in a 5-man protection when your offensive line is struggling. That game in particular, I believe, opened up so many people's eyes as to the problems with the Chicago Bears offense. Something I pointed out in 2020, and I pointed it out a little bit in 2019, but I think 2020 and how the 6-game losing streak went, even with the change from Mitchell Trubisky to Nick Foles, this Bears offense struggled. First start for Nick Foles was the Indianapolis Colts game, where Matt Nagy threw the ball 40 to 50 times in that ball game, and you ran it 12 when your passing game was not being successful, and you still stuck to the passing game instead of a running game with David Montgomery, who is all accounts a bell cow running back, a running back that needs 20 to 25 touches, and you have games where he only sees 10 carries. When your identity is not throwing the football, the identity of your Bear offense is running the football, you do not stick to it. You don't stick to it. The Bears play against good teams and offensively they look bad. Tampa Bay was a prime example this year. Tampa Bay, the whole team looked terrible, but the offense in particular, which what he was brought in to fix, looked terrible. You failed to scheme an offense that better fits what your players are successful at, what your players are strong at. You stick players in an offense that you want to run. You stick players in the offense that you believe will be successful versus putting them in the best positions to succeed because of what they are talentedly. This Bears unit, meanwhile, they do have moments they play hard. It's just offensively, schematically, after 2018, when teams get the opportunity to watch film on this Bears offense, it was a colossal failure. It just took the organization kind of long to open their eyes to the failures of the schematics of this Bears offense, the failures of the personnel, the failures of Matt Nagy's game planning, and his inability to make second half and in-game adjustments offensively. Because this past game against Minnesota proved it. You did not make any adjustments. You still had Andy Dalton sitting in 5-man protection when he's getting lit up, and you don't make any adjustment. The Matt Nagy era is officially over. I've been wanting this 2 years too long, 2 years in the waiting for this to happen. You draft Justin Fields and you basically have a waste year with him in a bad offense and bad schemes. You have Matt Nagy having captains switching off every week, which was another bad decision. Because as a team, teams have certain guys that are leaders and certain guys that are not. That's just every dynamics of any football team in any team sport. And to have alternate switching captains every single week, it's not a good look. Every team has its leaders. Khalil Mack is a leader. He's not vocal, but he's a leader. Akiem Hicks is a leader. As much to account, Allen Robinson has been a leader. Jason Peters, his experience could be a lead. Andy Dalton has been a leader in his career. Nick Foles has been a leader in his career. Justin Fields is coming in college. You develop him, he can get into that leader role. You just do not put alternate captains for every single week. And you had Bruce Irvin as a captain against Seattle and Jermaine Fetty because they played in Seattle and they were captains for that game. That was another thing that kind of frustrated me about this whole Matt Nagy era. It was the alternate captains, the switching off of captains. Another thing, I have been one to not watch Matt Nagy's press conferences at all because I don't like a lot of the things that this man has said. He's mishandled the quarterback situation the entirety of his tenure. Last year, switching from Trubisky to Foles, and this year, wanting to go with Andy Dalton because I believe in his mind that Andy Dalton fit what he wanted to do, versus you draft Justin Fields to develop him, and at some point he's going to play. Now, it might not have been right away, but at some point he's going to play. And even with the injury, he still wanted to go back to Andy Dalton. Because if I believe that you don't want to play Justin Fields, fine. Don't play him and then retract that back because Andy Dalton's healthy. If you did not want to play Justin Fields at all, and that was your plan, you put Nick Foles in. You put Nick Foles in. If your plan is to have Justin Fields ready by a certain point in the season, you do not start him against Cleveland if that is your plan. So he mishandled a lot. The team does play hard, but offensively, it just did not work. Averaging 14 to 17 points a game in today's NFL is not going to work. But I rambled long enough. I am happy that the Bears are switching guards. I'm going to probably do a video later about potential candidates and candidates I could see the most. So you appreciate that, leave this video a like and subscribe to the channel and click the notification bell so you will not miss a video. But I am signing out as a happy man. APW Sports signing out. Matt Nagy is officially fired. Great news. You guys stay safe. Great and excellent day. And I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.
Game over.